Indira Gandhi. Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi, born on the 19th of November 1917, died on the 31st of October 1984, was an Indian politician and a central figure of the Indian National Congress. She was the third Prime Minister of India and was also the first and, to date, only female Prime Minister of India. Gandhi was the daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. She served as Prime Minister from January 1966 to March 1977, and again from January 1980 until her assassination in October 1984, making her the second longest-serving Indian Prime Minister after her father. During Nehru's premiership from 1947 to 1964, Gandhi was considered a key assistant and accompanied him on his numerous foreign trips. She was elected President of the Indian National Congress in 1959. Upon her father's death in 1964, she was appointed as a member of the Rajya Sabha, Upper House, and became a member of Lal Bahadur Shastri's cabinet as Minister of Information and Broadcasting. In the Congress Party's parliamentary leadership election held in early 1966, upon the death of Shastri, she defeated her rival Morarji Desai to become leader, and thus succeeded Shastri, after his death, as Prime Minister of India. As Prime Minister, Gandhi was known for her political intransigency and unprecedented centralization of power. She went to war with Pakistan in support of the independence movement and War of Independence in East Pakistan, which resulted in an Indian victory and the creation of Bangladesh, as well as increasing India's influence to the point where it became the sole regional power of South Asia. Citing separatist tendencies, and in response to a call for revolution, Gandhi instituted a state of emergency from 1975 to 1977, where basic civil liberties were suspended and the press was censored. Widespread atrocities were carried out during the emergency. In 1980, she returned to power after free and fair elections. After Gandhi ordered military action in the Golden Temple in Operation Blue Star, her own bodyguards and Sikh nationalists assassinated her on the 31st of October 1984. In 1999, Indira Gandhi was named Woman of the Millennium in an online poll organized by the BBC. In 2020, Gandhi was named by Time magazine among the world's 100 powerful women who defined the last century. Early life and career. Indira Gandhi was born Indira Nehru into a Kashmiri Pandit family on the 19th of November 1917 in Allahabad. Her father, Jawaharlal Nehru, was a leading figure in the movement for independence from British rule, and became the first Prime Minister of the Dominion, and later Republic, of India. She was the only child. She had a younger brother who died young, and grew up with her mother, Kamala Nehru, at the Anand Bhavan, a large family estate in Allahabad. 9. She had a lonely and unhappy childhood. Her father was often away, directing political activities or incarcerated, while her mother was frequently bedridden with illness, and later suffered an early death from tuberculosis. She had limited contact with her father, mostly through letters. Indira was taught mostly at home by tutors and attended school intermittently until matriculation in 1934. She was a student at the Modern School in Delhi, St. Cecilia's and St. Mary's Christian Convent Schools in Allahabad, the International School of Geneva, the École Nouvelle in Bex, and the Pupils' Own School in Pune and Bombay, which is affiliated with the University of Mumbai. She and her mother Kamala moved to the Belur Math headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mission, where Swami Ranganathananda was her guardian. She went on to study at the Vishwa Bharati in Santiniketan, which became Visva Bharati University in 1951. It was during her interview with him that Rabindranath Tagore named her Priyadarshini, literally looking at everything with kindness in Sanskrit, and she came to be known as Indira Priyadarshini Nehru. A year later, however, she had to leave university to attend to her ailing mother in Europe. There it was decided that Indira would continue her education at the University of Oxford. After her mother died, she attended the badminton school for a brief period before enrolling at Somerville College in 1937 to study history. Indira had to take the entrance examination twice, having failed at her first attempt with a poor performance in Latin. At Oxford, she did well in history, political science and economics, but her grades in Latin, a compulsory subject, remained poor. Indira did, however, have an active part within the student life of the university, such as membership in the Oxford Majlis Asian Society. During her time in Europe, Indira was plagued with ill health and was constantly attended to by doctors. She had to make repeated trips to Switzerland to recover, disrupting her studies. She was being treated there in 1940, when Germany rapidly conquered Europe. Indira tried to return to England through Portugal, but was left stranded for nearly 2 months. She managed to enter England in early 1941, and from there returned to India without completing her studies at Oxford. The university later awarded her an honorary degree. In 2010, Oxford honored her further by selecting her as one of the 10 Arxasians, illustrious Asian graduates from the University of Oxford. During her stay in Britain, Indira frequently met her future husband Feroz Gandhi, no relation to Mahatma Gandhi, whom she knew from Allahabad, and who was studying at the London School of Economics. Their marriage took place in Allahabad according to Idam rituals, though Feroz belonged to a Zoroastrian Parsi family of Gujarat. The couple had 2 sons, Rajiv Gandhi, born 1944, and Sanjay Gandhi, born 1946. In the 1950s, Indira, now Mrs. Indira Gandhi after her marriage, served her father unofficially as a personal assistant during his tenure as the first Prime Minister of India. Towards the end of the 1950s, Gandhi served as the President of the Congress. In that capacity, she was instrumental in getting the communist-led Kerala state government dismissed in 1959. That government had the distinction of being India's first ever elected communist government. After her father's death in 1964, she was appointed a member of the Rajya Sabha, Upper House, and served in Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri's cabinet as Minister of Information and Broadcasting. In January 1966, after Shastri's death, the Congress Legislative Party elected her over Morarji Desai as their leader. Congress Party veteran K. Kamaraj was instrumental in Gandhi achieving victory. Because she was a woman, other political leaders in India saw Gandhi as weak and hoped to use her as a puppet once elected. Congress President Kamaraj orchestrated Mrs. Gandhi's selection as Prime Minister because he perceived her to be weak enough that he and the other regional party bosses could control her, and yet strong enough to beat Desai, her political opponent. In a party election, because of the high regard for her father, a woman would be an ideal tool for the syndicate. Gandhi's first 11 years serving as Prime Minister saw her evolve from the perception of Congress party leaders as their puppet to a strong leader with the iron resolve to split the party over her policy positions, or to go to war with Pakistan to liberate Bangladesh. At the end of 1977, she was such a dominating figure in Indian politics that Congress Party President D. K. Barua had coined the phrase India is Indira and Indira is India. In 1977, after extending the state of emergency twice, Gandhi called elections to give the electorate a chance to vindicate her rule. She may have grossly misjudged her popularity by reading what the heavily censored press wrote about her. She was opposed by the Janata Alliance of opposition parties. The alliance was made up of Bharatiya Jana Sangh, Congress, O, the Socialist parties, and Charan Singh's Bharatiya Kranta Dal representing northern peasants and farmers. The Janata Alliance, with Jai Prakash Narayan as its spiritual guide, claimed the elections were the last chance for India to choose between democracy and dictatorship. The Congress Party split during the election campaign of 1977, veteran Gandhi supporters like Jagjivan Ram, Hembatanandan Bahuguna, and Nandana Satpathy were compelled to part ways and form a new political entity, the CFD, Congress for Democracy, due primarily to intra-party politicking and the circumstances created by Sanjay Gandhi. The prevailing rumor was that he intended to dislodge Gandhi, and the trio stood to prevent that. Gandhi's Congress party was soundly crushed in the elections. The Janata Party's democracy or dictatorship claim seemed to resonate with the public. Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi lost their seats, and Congress was reduced to 153 seats, compared with 350 in the previous Lok Sabha, 92 of which were in the south. The Janata Alliance, under the leadership of Morarji Desai, came to power after the state of emergency was lifted. The alliance parties later merged to form the Janata Party under the guidance of Gandhian leader, Jayaprakash Narayan. The other leaders of the Janata Party were Charan Singh, Raj Narain, George Fernandez and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. 1980 elections and third term. The Congress Party under Gandhi swept back into power in January 1980. In this election, Gandhi was elected by the voters of the Medak constituency. On the 23rd of June, Sanjay was killed in a plane crash while performing an aerobatic maneuver in New Delhi. In 1980, as a tribute to her son's dream of launching an indigenously manufactured car, Gandhi nationalized Sanjay's debt-ridden company, Maruti Udyog, for Rs. 43 million, 4.34 crore, and invited joint venture bids from automobile companies around the world. Suzuki of Japan was selected as the partner. The company launched its first Indian-manufactured car in 1984. By the time of Sanjay's death, Gandhi trusted only family members, and therefore persuaded her reluctant son, Rajiv, to enter politics. Assassination. On the 31st of October 1984, two of Gandhi's Sikh bodyguards, Satwant Singh and Beant Singh, shot her with their service weapons in the garden of the Prime Minister's residence at 1 Safdarjung Road, New Delhi, allegedly in revenge for Operation Blue Star. The shooting occurred as she was walking past a wicket gate guarded by the two men. She was to be interviewed by the British filmmaker Peter Ustinov, who was filming a documentary for Irish television. Beant shot her 3 times using his sidearm. Satwant fired 30 rounds. The men dropped their weapons and surrendered. Afterwards, they were taken away by other guards into a closed room where Beant was shot dead. Kehar Singh was later arrested for conspiracy in the attack. Both Satwant and Kehar were sentenced to death and hanged in Delhi's Tihar jail. Gandhi was taken to the All India Institutes of Medical Sciences at 9:30 a.m., where doctors operated on her. She was declared dead at 2:20 p.m. The post-mortem examination was conducted by a team of doctors headed by Tyarath Das Dogra. Dogra stated that Gandhi had sustained as many as 30 bullet wounds, from 2 sources, a Sten submachine gun, and a .38 special revolver. The assailants had fired 31 bullets at her, of which 30 hit her, 23 had passed through her body while 7 remained inside her. Dogra extracted bullets to establish the make of the weapons used and to match each weapon with the bullets recovered by ballistic examination. The bullets were matched with their respective weapons at the Central Forensic Science Laboratory, CFSL, Delhi. Subsequently, Dogra appeared in Sri Mahesh Chandra's court as an expert witness, PW5. His testimony took several sessions. The cross-examination was conducted by Sri Pran Nath Lakey, the defense counsel. Salma Sultan provided the first news of her assassination on Doordarshan's Evening News on the 31st of October 1984, more than 10 hours after she was shot. Gandhi was cremated in accordance with Hindu tradition on the 3rd of November near Raj Ghat. The site where she was cremated is known today as Shakti Sthal. In order to pay homage, Gandhi's body lay in state at Teen Murder House. Thousands of followers strained for a glimpse of the cremation. Her funeral was televised live on domestic and international stations, including the BBC. After her death, the parade ground was converted to the Indira Gandhi Park, which was inaugurated by her son, Rajiv Gandhi. Gandhi's assassination dramatically changed the political landscape. Rajiv succeeded his mother as Prime Minister within hours of her murder, and anti-Sikh riots erupted, lasting for several days and killing more than 3,000 Sikhs in New Delhi and an estimated 8,000 across India. Many Congress leaders were believed to be behind the anti-Sikh massacre. Gandhi's death was mourned worldwide. World leaders condemned the assassination and said her death would leave a big emptiness in international affairs. In Moscow, Soviet President Konstantin Chernenko sent condolences stating, "The Soviet people learned with pain and sorrow about the untimely death in a villainous assassination of the glorious daughter of the great Indian people, a fiery fighter for peace and security of peoples and a great friend of the Soviet Union." President Ronald Reagan, along with Secretary of State George Shultz, visited the Indian embassy to sign a book of condolences and expressed his shock, revulsion, and grief over the assassination. 42nd Vice President of the United States Walter Mondale called Gandhi a great leader of a great democracy and deplored this shocking act of violence. Asian, African and European leaders mourned Gandhi as a great champion of democracy and leader of the non-aligned movement, expressed its deepest grief and called the killing a terrorist act. South Korean President Chun Doo-hwan said Gandhi's death meant the loss of a great leader to the whole world. Yugoslav President Veselin Uranovi, Pakistani President Mohammad Zia-ul-Haq, Italian President Sandro Pertini, Pope John Paul II at the Vatican, French President François Mitterrand condemned the killing. At the United Nations, the General Assembly paused in its work as shocked delegates mourned the death. Assembly President Paul Lusaka of Zambia postponed a scheduled debate and hastily organized a memorial meeting. Thanks for watching HerStory channel. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe our channel.